Hello everybody, this is me Salwa Kamel again, and today I want to go through a summary for a nice book, Reinventing Project-Based Learning book, PBL summary for chapter 3, 4 and 5. Let's start. So before we start our summary, I want to just to go through what is PBL because it might be a new title for many of us. So PBL, it stands for Project-Based Learning, and it is a teaching method in which students learn by actively engaging in real-world and personally meaningful projects. PBL teaches students many skills like problem solving and other life skills. Also, we find that students learn how to manage their time and to learn how to think critically. I have a diagram here so you can just go through it and learn how it starts. So our project, it starts from this circle, curriculum content. So the teacher starts with this circle to find a project that goes aligned with curriculum content or with a common core standard. And also it should align with our century skills from technology, and it should align with the students' needs and interests. And from this point, the teacher starts to choose as a project and start with driving a question. Driving a question, then the next step, the student voice and choice start to work and collaborate together, communicate with each other, and in-depth inquiry, they started to understand and try to answer the driving question, and then reflection and revision. They reflect on what they learned and they share or present the product with the audience. The audience may be parents, maybe friends, maybe some other people in the community. How can I implement PBL in my class? As a teacher, there are some steps that you or me have to follow. We first begin with, as I mentioned before, driving a question. Number 2, inquiry process, ask and answer some questions. Number 3, find a solution for this driving a question. And number 4, make their project public with the community. Let us start to summarize the 3 chapters in our book. The first chapter, chapter 3, is the main point in this chapter is that establishing the conceptual framework of the project, align the project with the Common Core state standards, and the features of good projects. Now let us go in details. If you start with the features of a good project, there we have 2 features. Number 1, what is the most important concept should the students know after finishing the project? Should be my first stand that I have to start with. And number 2, what is the big idea or the common standard that they want to learn? Also in this chapter you will learn about how can you focus on the main idea of the project. So there are many ways that any teacher can use to focus on the main idea of the project. The first one, using technology like Wiki. Number 2, brainstorming with your colleagues. Number 3, digital age literacy. Now, in the past time, we used to say that literacy means that that the student ignore or the students doesn't know how to read or write. But now, in our age, literacy means something else. Means that he lacks the ability to communicate and to use technology tools. Number 4, planning for rigor and digital age skills. And a well-designed project should stretch the students' intellectual abilities. And we will learn about this in details in the next slide. what we call it Bloom taxonomy of educational objectives. Number five, learning dispositions, like we call it habits of mind, like cooperation and motivation. Let us go in details about what we call it Bloom taxonomy of educational objectives. So, any project, the teacher tries to stretch the students' abilities to understand and to use all their abilities. So as a teacher, of course, I don't want my students to stay in this step just to recognize and recall facts. This is not my goal, of course. The goal should be to create or evaluate. So the more you go up on this pyramid, the more you find that the skills is more complicated, and this is what we want to do, to stretch our students' abilities to go through this pyramid, so not the base, but to go to the top of the base to create. Essential learning functions. This is another point that this chapter talked about. What are the essential learning functions? The first one is research, deep learning with experts and raw data. Number two, make ideas visible, express ideas creatively. Number three, collaboration. Number four, project management. Have students to use virtual task board to organize and manage their projects. Number five, reflection. Set up blogs so the students can get their thinking out on the table. Number six, support study. Help students tap into shared textbooks, courses, and other personal learning resources. This was the summary of chapter 3. Let us go through chapter 4, summary and strategies for discovery. The main points in the chapter 4 is reviewing projects, overcoming pitfalls, project design resources, the best project share importance features, where project ideas come from, and your turn to design your project. Let us go in details about each one. So, reviewing projects, when you create or start to establish your project, you want to review the others and what they created. So, when you review, you need to be selective, and reviewing the others' projects give you an opportunity to be a critical users. The best projects share important features. The best projects, as we know, share some important features and qualities. The first thing, they are loosely designed with the possibilities of different learning paths. This means that we can adjust them according to the students' needs and interests. They are generative, causing students to construct meaning. They center on a driving question. They capture students' interests through real life experiences, and they are realistic, and they reach beyond school to involve others like parents and friends. More features about the good project is they are structured so students learn with and through each other, call for reflections and feedback, get at digital age skills and literacy, get at important learning dispositions including cooperating, persistence, and self-reflections, have students learn by doing. But it comes here the most important question, that where projects ideas come from. As a teacher, where can I get the idea of my project? Good projects are everywhere. The following ideas may help any teacher to find an idea for a good project. So, project plans developed by other teachers, that might be a good resource. News stories, student questions, and current events. Chapter 5, Making Assessment Meaningful. Main points of this chapter: authentic assessments in PBL, plan for summative assessment, selecting project assessment and performance tasks, plan for formative assessment, and finally assessment options and tools. Authentic assessments in PBL, we have two kinds of assessments. So we have formative assessments and we have summative assessment. Formative assessment, it is ongoing assessment. Engaged and aware teachers assess non-stop from the moment they introduce a project until they move to the next one. For summative assessment, as we know, all of us know that it is a final one at the end of the project. And at the end of a project, teachers have two main purposes for assessment. First, measuring students' learning in a summative way. Second, evaluate the quality of the project so it can be better next time. So this leads us to another question. So how can I plan for my summative assessment? To plan for this kind of assessment, we need to go through steps. The first one, objectives. The second, activities, and then evidence. Objectives, what will students learn through this project? Activities, what approaches might they take to go from not knowing to knowing? Evidence, what would they need to demonstrate to show what they learned? And this of course leads us to go for another graphic to the different types of assessments. We have many different types of assessments, but for our project we focus on two kinds. On a summative assessment, and it should be at the end of the project, and for formative assessment, and it is ongoing assessment. Assessment options and tools. So what are my tools? Brainstorming to draw what the students know and care about. Number 2, interest inventory. Number 3, portfolio. Number 4, review protocols, and then the last one, project logs. Before we finish our summary, or after we finish our summary, we want to go through pros and cons PBL. So there are some people say it is a good teaching method, and others they say no, it is not a good teaching method. For advantages and disadvantages. Advantages, students find it more enjoyable and satisfying. It encourages greater understanding of the concept, so they will not forget in all their life what they learned. Students with PBL experience rate their abilities higher, and PBL develops lifelong learning skills. On the other hand, we have disadvantages of the PBL, or some people that they say that we have disadvantages of PBL. They say that it leads to less academic achievement and incomplete mastery in the other areas, as it takes longer time to go through a project, so the students might not finish all the academic stuff. Some parents feel that their kids don't learn because they believe just in the traditional way of learning. It works on the active rule of the student, so if the student is not active, this means that he will not learn. It leads to upset in timetable and inability to cover the curriculum in a given time. It is a problem for new teachers to find this method difficult, as they don't find enough material and resources. These are my references that I used for my summary and for my project. Thank you for watching.